Welcome back, divers. I am Cosmic.
I'm Chanda.
And go ahead and watch this video for us really quick.
Chris jumped off the bridge, y'all. And I already got, my son. I don't know if it was too much on him about Cheyenne, but Chris has mental health. And y'all just want y'all to pray. I'm out here with the rescue squad. And y'all pray, Chris. Y'all, I'm out with the ambulance. Everybody out here, they trying to find my child. And Chris deals with severe PTSD and anxiety. And y'all know what and so I'm trying to hold on, but my child jumped. I was driving after I get through work, and I was on YouTube, and I saw as I go home, it's a bridge, and I saw my son's car right there, and I said, "That's my son's car." And I said, "That's my son's car," and I saw the police. But after they right now, they got divers in here, they got everybody in here looking for him. But as I got through work, and I saw my son's car, I was on my way home. And I said, "Oh Lord," in my son's car, and I saw this one black guy standing over the edge, and the police. I said, "Oh no, my son!" And I knew I put two and two together. My dad just had to make sure I locked my car. And is there any update on my child? They got divers in the water now. Okay. Oh Lord. Y'all, I had just got through working, and I saw my son's car by the bridge, and I said. And I saw a police officer, and I said, "Oh Lord, I bet my son," and I just put two and two together, y'all. And y'all, I was like, "Oh my God," and I don't know if it got too much to him from about me when I'm going through. But he had texted me. He said, "Mama, you've been the best mama," and he said, "Mama, I love you. You never failed me." So each individual that he loved the most, he texts each one of them. Y'all, they still ain't found my child. I'm in bad shape, y'all.
I want to zoom in and see if I can see who these people are. That's just people over there. I'm trying to zoom in. I can't see them though.
Hey everyone, I just got an update from Aunt D. So a body has been recovered and found in the water at the bridge in Knoxville, Tennessee, where her son was witnessed jumping into. The body is presumed to be his body, but until the examiners and the first responders identify his body, then we will have official confirmation. But yes, a body has been found and a body has been recovered out of the water that he was seen jumping into. So many of us are aware of who this woman is. She has two autistic daughters that we knew of. And
they're twins, right?
I believe they're twins. Okay. I do think they're twins. I'm not sure though, so don't quote me on that. But we see them all the time. Her terrorizing her daughters with autism. That's how I feel about it.
And that's what a lot of people in the comments say too, that she provokes them.
She does. Mm-hmm. And what's sad about this video is that a couple days, if not a week before this situation arose, one of the twins, Shay, which was supposed to be on Love on the Spectrum, I think in 2026, I believe, recently had a seizure. She walked in and found her seizing, and it was a whole thing. She was sent to the hospital a couple days later. We see this video, and apparently her son has committed suicide jumping off of this bridge
He sent out a whole bunch of text messages to all of his loved ones. And it is rumored that a witness said they heard someone screaming help as they jumped off the bridge. That's what I heard. So, I really feel bad for this lady. She's going through a lot right now between having autistic daughters that she has. Not, that's a struggle in itself. Then one of them is in the hospital after having a seizure. Seizures are already bad for anyone who is relatively functioning mentally, because it can cause brain damage. So that's a lot to be concerned about. And then not to mention your son, who we didn't know you had, jumps off of a bridge and commits suicide. So, that slave's going through a lot. I feel she's like under spiritual attack. What do you think about this whole story?
Well, first of all, condolences to Aunt Dee. Unfortunately, we know this pain all too well.
Of suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it's an unfortunate situation and circumstance, especially for her, because the old saying that God's never going to give you more than you can handle.
Right.
I don't know if I believe that. Because, like, for example, this lady, hell, myself too, but this lady has been saddled with these autistic daughters for the rest of her life, because I know one is like very low functioning and the other one is higher functioning, but yet and still probably won't be able to live alone for the rest of their lives. So she's saddled with that. Then she had a son that obviously had some sort of issue, mental health issue or whatever the case. That's a lot. That's a lot for anybody to handle. And look, just watching her videos, she seems that she's handling the situation well. I think better than most people would be able to. But my condolences to her, thoughts, prayers, and wishes, because she's going to have a long road ahead with dealing with and understanding what has just happened to their family. And it also seems like the daughters are having this one particular daughter anyway is having some kind of other issue that may have just popped up recently. So who knows? But yeah, mental health is I'm surprised more people don't go into a mental health episode like for her, because it's like, damn, I got this, I got that, I got this, and now this. Sometimes your cheese just slides off the cracker because it's too much.
Yeah,
it's too much. So yeah, I don't really subscribe to that belief anymore. I used to, but I don't anymore, because I've seen too many people lose their sensibilities because life's just gotten too hard.
Well, it depends, and that's so understandable. And I've never been a huge Bible thumper or super religious person. I believe in God, but I'm doubtful Thomas to the end of my days. Until I make it to the judgment altar. I'm not sure. I feel it, but I'm not sure. So that's one way to look at it. But how I look at it is, we're still here. We're different than we were before, but we're still here. So, it didn't take us out. You just we went to a really low valley. And in my case, sometimes you continue to go into a low valley. And, she's in her valley right now. And I think that, when it comes to God won't give you more than you can handle, he never promises that you won't have dark days. And I think sometimes we can't even imagine what a dark day can really look like for us. So it jades us when it happens, when something happens, because it's, you never would have imagined, you never would have thought. And that can alter people's faith and, different beliefs and whatnot. I think that it does ring true to an extent, but it's like I'm on the TikTok trend. It's almost like, calling God, making sure I'm not on his strongest soldiers list this year. Because shit, I can't do it. I can't do it this year. Right. It's like, I need a break. We listened to Funky Deneva talk about this story. And he got really, really emotional, which was kind of rare for me to see. And he said, I don't ever want to be this strong. I don't ever want to be that strong as Auntie D. And I don't know. I thought that it was I thought it was very powerful. The fact that someone like him was emotional behind that. He really felt that. And
feels for her.
But I can't say I'd never want to be that strong. Hell, I don't. I feel like I already am in some respects. Yeah. But
I am, unfortunately.
Right, unfortunately.
It's one of those things.
So I think that, I don't know, maybe I feel a little jealous, and that he feels, he feels like he's not even capable of handling that. So, because that says a lot, So, because for us, we're like, I mean, yeah, that's kind of the trait,
Yeah, I mean, it just gets thrown on you.
Yeah,
it's because okay. So Funky said he never wants to be that strong because he doesn't think he can make it. You know what? Right. When you're thrown into the deep end, what are you gonna do?
Exactly.
But try to save yourself. That's all. You don't have a choice.
And any advice that I give to people when they're in these valleys and stuff is like, look, I can tell you what you should do, but I'm also going to tell you what the real deal is. You're not always going to be in a glorious light. And sometimes, you might look back 3 years later and say, I'm so embarrassed of the rut I found myself in the positions I was putting myself in, and all of the things I was doing or I did during this time. But my advice to them is, no matter what you do, just make it. You figure all the other stuff out later. Hopefully you don't mess up too bad to the point where the consequences are too detrimental. But, it's not always going to be graceful, and it's not always going to look well or look good. And she is doing as best as she can, but I still feel bad for the lady. She's going through so much, and she can't even lean on her daughters, really. Exactly. And that's what sucks, because I wonder who's there to take care of her.
Right. I wonder that too.
So it's just like, that sucks, man. It kind of makes you grateful. We were, although we fell on our fair share of dark times, we had a lot of rainbows in the clouds too. So, makes me appreciative, because who knows what her situation is like in this moment,
right? And what her support system is like. I hope Auntie D that you have a support system while you're going through this time. For me, I got to a point where I only had two choices. One was to live or die. Those were my only two choices. So I actually came to a crossroads. Yeah. What are you going to do? Are you going to live, or are you going to die? Right. And I decided that I didn't want to die. Right. So I had to just work through it as positively as I could.
Yeah, when I was in the thick of it and going through a similar crossroad, but I was down bad. But I went ahead and this is gonna sound really bad. But like I said, it's not always going to look graceful, and sometimes it's really embarrassing. But I was over there putting E&J in my Captain Crunch in the mornings, and then getting my Coke and my
That's
rum
like
and Coke at night.
disgusting.
Yeah, it was, but it was like I was liquored up at one point. So
Self-medicating.
it was self-medicating, and it's shameful, but I can say I'm here now, and I'm better for everything that I've been through. I can honestly say that. Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, but I'm still better for it. So that's all you can really wish on somebody that's going through what she's going through. And do you have any information on what maybe their relationship was like,
No.
or his reasoning behind jumping? Do you have any information on the kind of person he was or anything? I don't think we know anything.
I don't know anything about the young man. Like you said, we didn't even know that he existed because she never talked about him, or not that I heard.
If you guys know anything, comment and let us know what the situation was.
Well, shit, maybe, I mean, just like anybody else, I guess, that finds themselves in this position, it gets real, and it gets too real.
Yeah.
It gets too real for some people to handle, unfortunately. I mean, it's never the way out, it's never the way out, I don't think. But, that's some people's choice, and you do have that choice.
And I agree with you. It's never the way out, but I understand being in that headspace and being in that, you're just so your every waking hour is just doom and gloom. I do understand that, and the headspaces that can put you in. One video that was really touching to me, and I guess it has relevance to this in a way. There was this kid this man who was sitting on a bridge, just looking like he was contemplating. And a cop, he sneaks up. They're on the bridge, right? I don't know where the cop car was parked, but the cop is just, strolling. And he's so deep in his shit that he doesn't even hear or even realize that somebody's behind him. And the cop creeps up on him and snatches him off the bridge and pulls him down. He lets him down gently on the asphalt, and then he sits down with them and just talks to him, and calls his parents or whoever to come pick him up. And it was a really touching video. And it makes me wonder. It's almost like, dang, why was there no one to pull him off the bridge? Was that just what was supposed to happen? I'm a firm believer in when it's your time, it's your time. Even if he did jump and he was just a vegetable after, So when it comes to the self-unalived, it's hard to grapple with, because we're taught on one hand that this is blasphemy, or one of the ultimate sins. It's just wrong. But on the other hand, you're taught that God is this omnipotent being, and there isn't anything that he's not a part of or doesn't have his hand in or over. So how can you say that? It's an interesting paradox or Pandora's box. And but when it comes to Auntie D, man, stay strong as best as you can. You have the support of your followers,
right?
So that's somebody, and I hope you guys are reaching out, and that Auntie D, I hope that you're taking advantage of the support that you do have, instead of maybe wishing you had other support.
One thing I can share with you guys is that I went to survivors of unalived people, self-unalived people, and the host of this particular group meeting, he had tried to unalive himself 3 times. And each time failed.
Yeah.
So he's trying to tell the group why people do what they do.
Right.
For some potential reasons.
Right.
And my whole thing was, how could he do this to us?
Right.
And what he said was, when you're in that headspace,
Right.
it's like a horse that has like the blinders on,
Right.
and all you see is what your intended target is.
Right.
He said he had gotten to a point where he had made it up in his mind that this is what he was going to do. And once he made it up in his mind, he was super happy and he was super at ease. And he said he was taking a bath this particular day. And once he got out of the tub, he had intended to unalive himself. And then he said there was a knock at the door. And he went to the door. It was the cable man. And he had forgotten that the cable man was supposed to be there that day. He said he was pissed.
Right.
Because it interfered
Right.
with what he had already planned to do.
Right.
So once the cable man left, he went ahead with his plan. He took several horse tranquilizers and it didn't work.
How was he found? Did he just wake up after a few days?
No. His sister came to the house
That same day?
He did not make that clear.
Okay.
But his sister was the one that found him. So that was his 3rd attempt. After that, he was just like, okay,
Look,
it's not.
apparently I gotta
Yeah.
sit around here. It looks kind of like, if anybody's ever seen Vikings, it's kind of like Ragnar. We tried to hang himself and then the rope snapped and he's like, God damn it, I guess,
Yes. So I guess he was he was meant to be here, maybe to lead the group and help others that are going through this situation. But that particular meeting was really helpful to me in understanding why individuals take this path and what they could potentially be thinking.
Right.
So very much like Aunt Dee's son, there were letters and emails and things that were sent to people. So that's just something that they do, I guess, once they've determined and decided this is what they were going to do.
Right.
So yeah, so condolences to Aunt D. I really, really empathize and sympathize with you. And I wish you guys the best. And I can't wait to see when the girls on what is that? Love on the Spectrum. Yeah, that's a funny show. I've watched it. I've watched, I think, the first season, and it was good. So it's going to be interesting to see her on there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I guess that's all we have to say on this topic today. And like, comment, and subscribe. If you are someone who struggles with unalive intentions, feel free to reach out or, get help or whatever, there's support in many different areas. And if you're someone who can relate to our story or Auntie D's story, also feel free to reach out. We'd be more than happy to, reach back and have a conversation. And yeah, you have anything?
Yeah, one thing about what you just said. If there's anybody out there who's experiencing that, or you're a survivor of, and you just want someone to talk to, someone who understands, just shoot us a message. And we'll definitely be a sounding board for you, because it's something that I wish I had. It was almost like my whole friend group. Nobody experienced this before.
Right.
My whole family, and we have a pretty large family. No one had experienced this before. So I was definitely on an island. I didn't have a no canoe, no blow up tube, just nothing. I had nothing. So I had to struggle my way through it. So if there's anybody out there that just needs to vent to somebody, just hit us up.
And that is it for this video today, guys. You guys have a good one, and prayers for Auntie D and her family. And that's it. Bye.
Bye.